Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. So I'm pretty exhausted today from a long bike ride I had, so if I start to sound a little boring, just go ahead and speed up the video a little bit. So let's just jump right into the first story called 10 Minutes of My Life I Want Back. Alright, so this happened about a year and a half ago, so around Christmas of 2017, and it will always stick with me. I work in the scrapbooking section of a craft and hobby store. Anyways, the phone rings and I pick it up. The lady on the other end says they're restoring an RV from the 70s and are currently working on the Lazy Susan. I explain we unfortunately don't have anything suitable for that. She then says she saw a metal extension post on the website and says that's what she needs. I explain that they're used for expanding post-bound scrapbooks and are not strong enough nor appropriate for Lazy Susans. She insisted that they're the right thing, so I spend the next 5 minutes explaining to her what exactly these things look like, despite her having a picture on the website. She wants to know everything. Price, how many are in the package, their color, silver. I had to tell her about 5 times they were silver. Freaking silver. And the mechanics of how they screw together. When it's all said and done, she's still clueless, but she still thanks me. When it's done, I groan and literally facepalm. Cut to 30 minutes later. Another phone call. It's the same lady. She wants me to reconfirm everything we just talked about, so she can tell her husband what to look for when she sends him there. Cue another 5 minutes of me describing things again. Price, how many are in a package, color, for those of you who forgot, silver, and the mechanics of how they all screw together. Once again, she thanks me and is just as clueless. I then proceed to walk to the break room, go into one of the employee restrooms, and unleash my loud primal scream. The 2 coworkers I scared the crap out of asked if I was okay. I said yeah, but deep down I was afraid I may have damaged my vocal cords. 2 hours later, an old guy comes in, and you guessed it, asked where the scrapbook extension posts are. I show him them and go about my business, cleaning my department. He pulls out his cell phone and proceeds to call someone and told them, "No, these aren't what we need." I wanted to cry. She was without a doubt the most dense and stupid customer I've dealt with. And I've had people ask me where the hamster food was, in a craft and hobby store. You know, I think it might be time for you to retire in the retail industry and just find anything else. Once I quit my retail job, I never went back. Even being a janitor was more fulfilling than that. Alright, next we got, watched a lady give me a bad review right in front of me. So I work in a fancy fast food restaurant that has a screen next to the front door where customers can rate their experience 0 to 5. Usually people can just assume how to use it, tap the icon that best reflects how you thought you were served. Simple. Well, last night, an old lady came in. She was maybe 75 or so. I go through the motions, ask what she wants, make it for her, keep up small talk, etc. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She pays no drama and goes to leave. Right as I turn to head back out again, I hear her call out to me, asking to help her with the rating system. It's a slow night, so I figured why not. She asked me how the rating system worked, so I explained 0 is the worst, where you felt the service was exceptionally terrible, while 5 is the best, where you felt we went above and beyond to make the experience as good as it could be. So obviously I'm thinking she'll at least rate a 4, as I'd been nothing but polite and made her order quickly. Apparently not. I watched her practically slam her finger down on the 0, give a stuck-up little nod, and walk right out of the door. She even called the store back later to complain some more. Some people just can't be pleased. I should have mentioned that when she called back to complain, it was, of all things, that her tortilla was a little bit too toasted, and I somehow missed half the ingredients she asked for when she only asked for about 4 things. Hey, I know a little bit about what that's like, when some people are just so grumpy and they won't leave you alone. Even when they have food in their dish, they have everything they need, everything is just fine, but they still find a reason to whine about it. Alright, next we've got, pull my strings and I'll pull your card. So the year was 1999, and I was 19 years old. I had just obtained a job as a line server tech with a small air cargo company at PDX in Portland, Oregon. I also had 2 speeding tickets and 1 for a broken taillight on my driving record at the time of hire. All was well for a couple months. I did my job and kept to myself. The only problem was my manager, Pete. Pete was kind of an idiot. He was also kind of a manager that hides and tries to catch you doing things, or make stuff up to write you up to look better to management. I did my best to avoid him. Anyhow, a couple months later on a Wednesday day, Pete approaches me and tells me that Friday is going to be my last day, and that I have to be let go due to there being 3 moving violations on my driving record. I explained to him that I only had 2 moving violations, as the taillight wasn't a moving violation and shouldn't count. Furthermore, I had been hired with that record. He wouldn't hear it. My last day was Friday. I didn't show it, but I was mad. The very next thing he told me to do was to pull an airplane into the hangar and wash it. Now, this is very illegal, as the chemicals used to clean the planes would drain into Columbia River Slough, and you're supposed to pay a service elsewhere at the airport to do it in an environmentally safe fashion. It's like $1,000. The drains in the hangars are supposed to be welded shut to prevent this, and they were, but someone had made it where the whole cap, weld and all, would just come off, exposing the drain. I told Pete I wasn't comfortable doing it. He said, tough luck, do it. I complied. But seriously, how dumb are you? Tell me I'm losing my livelihood unfairly, then tell me to break federal law, FAA regulations, and who knows what else. These mortals would freaking pay. My first action after arriving home was to place a call to the EPA. I didn't expect to talk to anyone as it was after hours, but somehow I got connected to an inspector. He was very interested, to say the least. I made sure to tell him about everything. I was even more helpful and told him that if he showed up at exactly 3 p.m. the next day, he would catch me in the act of washing a plane. Upon arriving at work, 2 p.m. the next day, I went to talk to Michelle, the parts lady, who was also the main company gossip. I expressed to her my extreme frustration over losing my job in such an unfair way, and also my dismay about how the company was forcing me to do things that were illegal, and that it would sure be terrible if someone ever caught them. Super subtle, right? Lo and behold, at exactly 3 p.m., who comes strolling into the hangar but a portly, middle-aged guy with a Polaroid camera around his neck and an ID badge that just screams federal inspector. He walks right up to Pete and introduces himself as much. Meanwhile, I had ceased any pretense of my working and was just watching my chaos unfold. Pete was at a total loss, totally flat-footed with no idea what to do or say. Finally, he noticed me, tried to tell me to do something, but I don't recall what. When he did, I just took a second to consider. Finally, I said, "Nah, I think I quit instead. F off, Pete," and then walked out. The look on Pete's face when he realized he was on his own and no one was going to be there to help him or to blame was classic. I remember it to this day, 20 years later. Pete ended up losing his job, of course. So did the site HR person and even the site CEO. Apparently what they were doing was pretty egregious, and the EPA called in the FAA, who went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. I heard from a friend who still worked there that, as well as firing all of the managers, the company was fined around $200,000. When all was said and done, plus legal fees, chemical cleanup fees, and the loss of revenue from that hub for about a month while they were suspended during investigations. All in all, I felt like it was a pretty even trade at the end of the day. Man, you would be surprised if you found out just how many businesses out there are just completely run poorly or break a lot of laws. I mean, if you managed to pull together some kind of business where everything just ran smoothly, you'd probably be way ahead of the competition. Alright, this one's called, "Don't mow the flowers covering my whole lawn, mow around it." So this involves the pettiest of revenges. So yeah, this happened to me a few months ago. I work in a lawn care service where I would just go do lawn work for my neighbors, mostly elder neighbors who can't mow their lawns, weed eat the gardens, etc. So one day, I was returning from mowing a neighbor's lawn when this old lady calls me from across the street. The conversation goes something like this. She says, "Can you mow my lawn?" I say, "Of course." She says, "Good, I need it mowed soon. I'm having a party for so-and-so." I say, "Okay." I tell her the terms and conditions and how much I charge. She says, "Okay then." She pays me. Get to mowing. I text my mom telling her that I'm going to finish up one more lawn, and she went inside. And I just start the mower when I hear her screaming at me. She says, "What the heck are you doing?" I say, "I'm mowing your lawn, chill." She says, "Don't run over the flowers." Her entire lawn is covered in flowers, so it's impossible to mow all her lawn. I say, "I can't do that. Your lawn is already overgrown, so it desperately needs to be mowed." But with all the flowers, I couldn't. Then an idea came to my head. Okay, I will steer clear of the flowers. 4 minutes later, I knock on the lady's door. I say, "I'm done with your lawn." She says, "You missed so many spots with the lawn." I say, "You told me to stay away from the flowers." She says, "I did, but you're supposed to mow my lawn, not leave all these spots." I say, "Okay, I'll mow the lawn." 10 minutes later, I knock on the door, say, "I'm done." She says, "I told you to mow around the flowers." I say, "You told me to mow the lawn. I can't mow the lawn with all these flowers in the way." She says, "You are in so much trouble." An old man, who was probably her husband, walks around the corner, says, "Shut up. You told him to mow the lawn. He can't mow with all those flowers in the way. And I can't sleep with all the screaming." That shut her up. The old man says, "You can go now." I run home with my mower, and I haven't seen her since. I mean, what kind of flowers just grow all over your lawn? Are they just talking about dandelions or something? Also, old couples like this are always hilarious to me. Where there's just like a grumpy old guy who could pretty much say whatever he wants and get away with it, and everyone just kind of takes it all as a joke for some reason. Alright, now for one more big story called, "Your Dead Grandpa Stole My Truck." So my grandpa passed away a few years ago from a small cell lung cancer. Although it's been kinda hard making it by financially without him, we've been doing relatively well. My grandpa left us some stuff when he died, but the most important, and most treasured, belonging of his was his 1983 Dodge Ram pickup truck. I mean, this thing was his baby. He never let anyone else touch it. Not even my brother, whom he trusted with everything. Put simply, our financial status left this truck as our only means of transportation. We lived in the middle of nowhere, so we couldn't walk to any stores or anything. So my mom and I were shopping for groceries at Walmart. We parked the truck near the front and saw some weird people staring us down as we got out. Yeah, Walmart is known for having weird people. Unbeknown to us, these people were Humble Dad and Entitled Mom. I didn't think much of it, and my mom didn't seem to care at all. We locked the truck and went inside. I noticed that Entitled Mom was following us at a distance. I couldn't tell if it was intentional or coincidental, so I paid no mind to it. We only saw her a few times, but right before we were done, I saw her leave. As we started to head to the checkout, I noticed Humble Dad and Entitled Mom talking to each other outside the doors, giving us occasional glances. At this point, I felt like something was up. After we finished purchasing and bagging everything, we headed outside to see Humble Dad standing next to the truck, looking in the window with his hands pressed to the glass. Entitled Mom was standing next to him, looking over his shoulder. We walked over and confronted them. The following conversation ensues. So my mom says, "Excuse me, what are you doing to my truck?" The guy backs off the truck. He says, "Oh, sorry, I was just admiring it. What is it, an 87, 88? She says, "It's an 83. We've had it for quite a while." He says, "Really? We used to have a truck just like this." My mom says, "That's neat, huh, Joker?" At this point, my suspicions are confirmed. I say, "Mom, can we get heading out? I'm getting really tired." I was actually pretty dopey due to my meds, so I wasn't lying. She says, "Yeah, we need to get going home. You guys have a nice day." The mom says, "Hold on a second. Where did you guys get that truck?" I say, "It belonged to my grandpa. He passed away a few years ago and left it to us." She says, "Do you know exactly where he bought that truck?" I say, "Yeah, he bought it from a dealer in 1982. She says, "I don't think that your grandpa has been telling you the truth. You see, he stole our truck from us." I say, "No, he didn't. My grandpa bought this off the showroom floor. He didn't steal it from you." She says, "That isn't true. We lost our truck a while back, and he took it. Now we want it back." My mom says, "Sorry to disappoint, but you aren't getting squat, lady. I was a little girl when my dad bought this truck. My mom and I even went to the dealer with him." She then starts screaming like a freaking banshee. She says, "Stop lying. You are going to give back our truck, or else I'm calling the police and having you arrested for Grand Theft Auto." My mom then starts to get into the truck and tells me to get in as well. She says, "Don't even think about leaving with our truck." She then grabs my mom by the arm and yanks her out of the driver's side. The truck doesn't have separate seats, but rather one large bench-type seat. My mom falls to the ground, and then the Entitled Mom takes the keys and starts to get in the truck. I walk up and clock her right in the jaw, making her drop the keys, which I happily pick up. The Entitled Mom says, "That truck belongs to us. We can finally give our son a working vehicle, and I won't let you stop me." A police officer then pulls into the lot and notices us, and drives over. He gets out of his car. Thank goodness that particular police officer was an awesome guy and was super chill. He says, "What seems to be the issue here?" The lady says, "I just had to pull this lady out of our truck because she tried stealing it from us." My mom gets up and leans on the bed of the truck, clearly hurt. The officer helps her up. The police officer looks at me and says, "What's your name, bud?" I say, "My name is Joker." He says, "I presume this is your mom, correct?" I say, "Yeah, that's my mom. We tried getting in our truck when this lady pulls her out of it." I explain the ordeal to the officer, having to talk over the Entitled Mom's screams and remarks. He says, "Can you verify that this vehicle truly belongs to you?" My mom says, "Yes, I can, officer." She then gets into the truck, pulls out the insurance card and registration. They both have my mom's name on them, which she compares to her driver's license. The names and everything match, of course. The officer says, "Okay, this is definitely your vehicle." The Entitled Mom interrupts by throwing a tantrum. She says, "She's a filthy liar. She stole those from me." She then reaches for my mom, to which the police officer blocks her. She gets mad and slap right to the police officer's face. The officer is officially done at this point. She gets tackled to the ground and handcuffed, all the while kicking and squirming. He says, "Ma'am, you've already assaulted both a civilian and an officer. You clearly attempted to steal their vehicle from them, and now you are resisting arrest. You aren't getting out of this one." The officer puts her in the back of the squad car, and then the lady turns absolutely demonic at this point, yelling profanities and acting literally insane. Luckily she was weak and couldn't really do any harm. The officer apologized for the trouble, shook my hand, and gave me a pat on the back bro hug. Again, super cool. He left, leaving the husband by himself. The guy says, "I'm really sorry that you had to go through all that, and not helping calm the situation. I didn't want to seem like a bad guy being with her. Plus, it would have made it worse if I went against her." We left on good terms. The story had a happy ending. Needless to say, we pressed charges against her for assault and attempted theft. She's now in jail for a while. This husband's probably just like, "Man, I've been waiting for my wife to get arrested for a long time, so thank you guys for finally making it happen." And all of this happened in the Walmart parking lot. For those of you who haven't checked it out, you guys should definitely watch my video from yesterday about what's the craziest things you've seen at Walmart. I think it's definitely one of my funniest videos I've ever made, so I highly recommend watching that one. Now let's get into the question of the day, which is, what's the dumbest idea you had as a child? So I once tried to build my own trampoline. I placed 4 chairs a good distance apart, spread a bed sheet across them, and put something heavy to hold down the sheet. Now, a smart person would test this, make sure it's going to hold my weight or actually work like a trampoline. I did not take any such precautions, and took a dive face first from the back of my couch, and that's how I got the scar on my forehead. I did get a real trampoline when I was older though, never even got hurt on it. Now I want to go try and build my own trampoline. I remember reading The Boxcar Children, and I was convinced that anyone who was like 13 years old was basically an adult, and could survive by themselves. My parents were constantly finding the hoard of canned food and camping supplies that I was trying to squirrel away, in order to just F off and try and live in the woods. Well, he probably turned into a pretty good survivalist when he grew up. So I thought booby traps had something to do with boobies. So I went like a commando through the backyards in the neighborhood, and stole bras off the clotheslines. Since I figured, they are already trapped boobies at some level. They are the material needed to build my larger trap. My dad found whatever insane net I tried to build by connecting them all together stashed in the garage, and was pretty confused, then pretty upset when I told him what I was working on. Since I had no record of where I got them from, he made me go door to door asking if any females in the house were missing bras, then go through my entire collection to pick out which one. No one was very happy based on my actions. What kind of things were you trying to trap with that booby trap anyway? So I dug a hole in the backyard thinking I could build an underground house. My mom ended up falling into it when she went out to hang some shirts on the laundry line. Luckily, she didn't get hurt. Man, I used to get in trouble for digging holes all the time. Like when you're confined to a backyard and you want to go exploring, the only direction you can go is down, so you might as well just start digging. So I thought that the world was stupid for thinking that 6 to 8 hours of sleep was necessary. For about 1 academic year, I stayed up till about 3 a.m. playing games or watching films or even doing last-minute homework, and woke up at 6 for school. I was falling asleep in the afternoon lessons every day, but I got back home and perked up again. Most of that year is a blur. I think it's also coincided with when I stopped growing taller. Man, sleep is weird. There are some periods of time where I can get by with like 5 hours a night, and then other times where I'm exhausted even after like 9 hours every night. I don't know, my energy levels seem like just a dice roll sometimes. I tried to roast marshmallows on steam from the dishwasher. Hey, it all just looks like smoke, so I don't know that I'd really want to try steamed marshmallows though. So I thought that if you put blank copy paper in the copier, it would make infinite paper. My dream of running the paper market at a young age was cut short when the paper ran out of the copier. Yeah, I ran into the same problem when I found out you couldn't 3D print 3D printers. So I tried bungee jumping from the tree out front of my house, with a rope tied around my waist. My dad found me asleep hanging from a tree an hour later. Geez, that'd probably kill somebody. It's a good thing you were a kid and probably didn't weigh very much. So I wanted to become a broccoli when I grew up. A broccoli. As my job. What a fool. Doesn't he know that it would be so much better to be an asparagus? Well, we made it through all the stories again. Another video has come to an end. And luckily the cat only delayed about 15 minutes of the recording. So here's a little clip. This is what she interrupted me for in the middle of recording. You're not even gonna drink any water? Well, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.